your gospel here on Gospel for Grampian. Your gospel is all about making sure that wherever you come from, you'll be able to hear the gospel.
Your gospel in Hungarian.
János 3.16. Mert úgy szerette Isten e világot, hogy az ő egyszülött fiát adta, hogy valaki hiszen ő benne, el ne vesszen, hanem örök élete legyen.
Your gospel aims to make the gospel available in languages from around the world. It's taken from John chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. Look out for more from your gospel at the top of the hour every hour on Gospel for Grampian.
Listen.g4g.org.uk. If you'd like to catch up with our podcasts, then it's podcast.g4g.org.uk.
My name is Mural and you're listening to Gospel for Grampian, community radio for the north of Scotland, here to enrich lives.
A very good afternoon to you. 4:01 on this Friday afternoon. Welcome along to the Community Elements Show. On the show today, we have, well, first of all, Brian's good news. And as quite often happens with that, that's actually spurred on another community element. And this community element, it's again about health. It's about first aid. And there's a story in there about a mum whose life was saved by her daughter. And this mum was having a seizure. And so we thought it would be a great idea to, again, bring first aid into it. We're going to St John Ambulance for first aid tips, and we'll make sure that you're able to look at these first aid tips. There are videos on that particular website, so you can have a look at those, and we'll feature the first aid. What to do if you have seizures. Seizures, that is, in children, and also seizures in older children and adults as well. So that's coming up a little bit later on. And we've got also forward news about what's actually happening a little bit later on still this evening here on Gospel for Grampian Goods as our Power Hour. More about that anon. First of all, Brian's good news. Good afternoon and a warm welcome along to this Community Elements Show, starting off as always with Brian's good news. Now we've got quite a few stories here, and the first one is back to litter collection again.
More than 50 bags of rubbish were collected in a community clean-up event. Dyson Bloom Gardening Club hosted a second tidying event following the success of its previous event. The Autumn Litter Blitz event resulted in 53 bags being cleared up from around Dyce, thanks to the help of 60 Keene residents who were happy to lend a hand. Normally, the group only has one annual clean-up. However, the previous event, which was held in March this year, proved so popular that a second one was organised. Evelyn Shearer of the Dyson Bloom Gardening Club said, "We were very happy with how the clean-up went. To get 60 people out for something like this in the autumn is really good, and the support we get from people in the community is great. It's a fun event and a lot of people really enjoy coming along. There were a few of the local youth groups like the Beavers, Cubs and Boys Brigade. We got great support from Tesco and Aberdeen City Council as well. A lot of people are really quite passionate about the amount of litter that gets spread around the local area. There are regular litter pickers who come to most of the events, but there were also some people who were there for the first time. There have been litter pickups going on for around 10 years in various forms. Evelyn believes the turnout for the event demonstrates the appetite for keeping the area litter-free. She said, "The fact we were able to attract so many people shows the pride in the place that we all live in. People are taking action rather than just talking about it, which is great to see. This is the first autumn clean-up that we have had, but it was very popular and it's something we will be very keen to do again. The next clean-up is due to take place in the spring." A treasured statue celebrating a Don's legend is staying in the city for good, thanks to a generous hotel owner. The Oorwully Willie Miller statue took pride of place at the entrance to the Bonaccord Centre all summer, with admirers of all ages posing with it for selfies. The statue pays tribute to much-loved comic character Oorwully and Aberdeen Football Club hero Willie Miller, captain of the famous Gothenburg Giants. When the artwork was put up for auction last week, its future in the city was secured when kind-hearted businessman Drew Crawford stumped up £9,000 for it, which, with proceeds going to the Archie Foundation. The statue was one of more than 200 put on display on Scottish streets as part of the Big Bucket Trail before auctions last week raised £1.29 million for several good causes. Mr. Crawford, who owns the Pinehurst Lodge Hotel and Restaurant on Pitmedden Road, Dice, with his wife Lorna, said he knew the statue was for him the moment he saw it. I am 61 years old and have fond memories of getting Oorwully annuals and reading his comic as a boy, and I am also an avid Aberdeen Football Club fan. I used to go to watch Aberdeen home and away, and everyone who is old enough to remember recalls that magic night that Aberdeen won the European Cup Winners' Cup in Gothenburg when Willie Miller was captain. He said, "It was an iconic moment in the history of the city and brought everyone together." Willie is a legend. I was absolutely thrilled to win the auction. For the last few days he has been sitting in the restaurant and has been getting quite a lot of attention. We are going to put him out in the garden. Alongside him will be a collection bucket so admirers can throw in coins for the Archie Foundation, which supports children attending Royal Aberdeen Children's Hospital along with their parents and the hospital staff. Mr. Crawford said, "It is a wonderful charity which has helped so many families, and I am pleased that we have been able to show support, and Willie is welcome to come and see it by enjoying a meal here." Sarah Moughlan, the artist who designed the statue, said, "I'm so pleased the hotel owners loved him enough to buy him. I'm incredibly honoured and touched." Willie Miller said, "I'm delighted that the statue is staying in the city and that it's going to an avid Dons fan. But the biggest winner here is the Archie Foundation, which has been given huge backing thanks to the auction. Well done to Drew and to everyone who took part in the auction." A young North East girl called for help after her mum suffered an epileptic seizure. When Georgia heard her mum, Emily Peters, making funny noises in bed, she went through to check on her in the early hours of September 1st. Realising what was happening, the quick-thinking 5-year-old grabbed her mother's phone to raise the alarm and made sure her little brothers were safe and calm. Emily from Strichen, who was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was 8, praised her daughter for saving her. She said, "We'd all gone to bed like normal the night before, and in the middle of the night my youngest son River, who is 2, came into our bed. My partner left for work as normal at 5 a.m. Georgia got up and heard funny noises, so came to the bedroom and saw I was having a seizure. It has never happened before when there hasn't been another adult there. Georgia took Mason downstairs so he wouldn't get scared and put the TV on for him. Then she came back up and watched River, who thought it was a game, as I was making funny noises and dancing about on the bed. I've always told her the passcode to my phone, so she can use it in an emergency. So she looked through and found Dad. She ended up calling my dad, Martin, who lives in Gardenston, and he heard what was happening and called an ambulance. Well, stayed on the phone with Georgia until paramedics came. An ambulance arrived and helped Miss Peters come round from the seizure. Bless her, she really did save my life, said Mrs. Peters. A life-saving device has been unveiled in a popular city park after a successful fundraising campaign. The Friends of Duthie Park launched an appeal for a defibrillator in February. More than £1,000 was raised through an online crowdfunding page, and £700 of the cash was donated by a fitness group that completed a 12-hour relay race around the park on space hoppers. The machine has been installed at the park cafe in a secure box that can be accessed with a PIN number, which will be provided when an emergency call is made. A defibrillator delivers a high-energy electric shock to someone suffering a cardiac arrest to help restore a stable heart rhythm. Around 1 million people visit Duthie Park every year, and it is hoped having an automated external defibrillator will increase the chances of survival for anyone who suffers a cardiac arrest at the attraction. Gail Gordon from the Friends of Duthie Park said, "We're delighted it has now been installed and it is here for use if needed. You always hope it will not need to be used, but it is good to have it here." Mrs. Gordon launched the crowdfunding page and thanked everyone who donated money. She said, "The community have been fantastic with the fundraising, and if it wasn't for them, the defibrillator wouldn't be here." One woman made an anonymous donation of more than £200 because her husband had died. Ailey Gilbert from Rebel Personal Training took part in the Hop-a-thon in April. She said, "We run the pram in the park fitness classes twice a week and we're keen to help the Friends of Duthie Park with this. We wanted to make sure the park had a defibrillator because one of our members could need it one day." Council staff at Duthie Park and the Park Cafe will be given training by St John Scotland so they are able to use the defibrillator. Councillor Alan Donnelly, who represents the Ferryhill ward, said, "Duthie Park is a leading attraction in Scotland, let alone Aberdeen, so to have this equipment in the park is fantastic. It is a most welcome development." And we have a scripture text this week taken from 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14. "If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin." Amen.
Thank you very much for all these good news stories. You've done stories about defibrillators before. There's one here in Torry, just by the police station, and that has been done by public money, and it's great that the public are realising the great need to have
It's a great service.
such things available so that if people did need it, and who knows, any one of us could actually need that at some point, and to know that that's available in various parts of the city. Well done to those volunteers who did that.
It's a very valuable item.
Now, have you ever used a space hopper before?
Not so far.
You haven't?
No.
Oh dear, I think we'll have to try you on one.
I would need to find out where Duthie Park is.
Well, you can try one outside here. Or where we can get one in the hall. I think there may be a space hopper actually in the cupboard.
I used to like you, Rob.
Now, one of the things that we are rather remiss about, Brian, is quite often we used to start this show off and ask you how you were. But I haven't done that for a good few weeks. So how are you?
I am very well. I have no major complaints.
Good.
Thank
Right. That's good. And then it's also, it started off with life-saving with defibrillator, but then someone having an epileptic seizure. And just even for what that daughter did, and raising the alarm, phoning a person who is able to help and is able to go and make sure that he raises the alarm, at least that person was able to be saved because of her daughter. And it just takes something like that, and someone quick thinking, and someone able to at least do what they can.
Georgia, the 5-year-old,
Yes.
showed so much maturity in her actions, and kept calm herself, helped the children to keep calm.
And that would have then helped the mum.
Oh, of course, yes, indeed. Because if you have an epileptic seizure, when you come round from it, if the people around you are panicking,
That's not going to help.
it puts you into another seizure. So this, I think, was a fantastic demonstration that for a 5-year-old, that's utterly amazing, actually. And, the past couple of years, you've asked me for my 10 favourite stories for the year.
You think this could be one of them?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know so.
Exactly.
Oh, well, listen out, listeners.
This is
will be
fantastic.
This will be coming back up again, and in any case, we'll be making sure that this is made available. Now, interesting enough, listeners, as well, you can actually see pictures of Brian coming up every single week.
Oh, heaven help us.
And also some of the links, things he's been talking about, and the links to the various good things that have been going on. That's available for you. It's coming up on our website and also on our Facebook page and Twitter too. Litter collection. We've featured litter before, and we'll be featuring litter again. And it's great that communities are taking such an interest in their environment. Not only in their local streets, but in the area around Dice. And it would be great if lots more people did that, because the amount of plastic that ends up in the environment is
horrific,
shocking.
Yes, they've done a great favour to the community, but they enjoyed it too, didn't they?
They did.
Oh, it's a real service that they are doing. I'm impressed actually with people who put themselves out for others, and this group most certainly qualify there.
Definitely. I mean, they are realising that also the city itself spends out about, I've quoted this figure before, £4 million a year on litter collection. I know I've mentioned it before lots of times, but think what that £4 million could be used for.
Indeed.
Extra services for people, and the city would be able to make savings, a huge amount of savings, if people in fact didn't litter in the first place.
To be a real blessing to the city as a whole.
It would be, it would be a blessing in more ways than one, because what, for example, the Britain in Bloom judges look out for when they come to the city. Aberdeen enters Britain in Bloom quite a lot, but they also look out for community and green action. So when you have people taking responsibility of their environment, then that's going to figure fairly highly.
Of course.
And Dice in itself has put in for Dice in Bloom, and they get quite a few awards regularly. But certainly this is showing that they are really into their local community.
Tremendous.
And making a difference.
Indeed.
And they enjoy it too, which is great. Lastly, Don's hero, oh Willie, what more can be said? Wow. But it's a great idea. So it's not just going to end up as a statue kind of in someone's garden where it's all hidden away. It's there, and it's still going to be raising money for the Archie Foundation.
Which is an excellent foundation.
Which it is. And we've featured them before as well, and it would be great to do more with them.
And this will be a good advertisement for the hotel.
Yes.
Because many people will go to see this statue, because it was so popular when it was in the Bonaccord Centre, and all these people that were getting selfies at it, so they will remember this, and they'll say, oh, that hotel, we must go and have a meal there, and thank them for the marvellous contribution that they've made. £9,000.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll go and they'll put some more money in the bucket and keep the money coming. But I would say it may look like a lost leader in some ways, but it's actually a good lost leader, because it creates that extra interest. It's a fairly shrewd move, I think, by that hotel owner.
Yes, indeed. I think he will be rewarded for this, and I would agree with rewarding him. You know.
Definitely. Well, hats off to them. And that brings us to the end of Brian's Good News for this week. Of course, there will be hopefully many news stories for next week. Well, 4 to be exact.
Exactly, at least
4. And then, Brian, can I get you to read out the scripture, please?
Willingly. From 2 Chronicles, chapter 7, verse 14, which states, If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from
heaven. The verse goes on to say, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. Brian's Good News getting cut off by the system there, unfortunately. However, you can hear the full version here on Gospel for Grampian, and certainly as a podcast as well, from podcast.g4g.org.uk. This is the Community Elements Show. My name's Rob Rowe. I'm the director here, but I'm also presenting this show, and we're believing that by doing this, and really the heart of our faith is that it's every area of life where God wants to bring about hope and bring about healing, and that is exactly what we're going to do. One of these stories that Brian picked up on was the story of a girl who, through her quick thinking, a 5-year girl, through her quick thinking, she managed to get her siblings calm. She was there for her mum. She made sure that her mum was cared for and that the alarm was raised. And so as a result, her mum lived to tell the tale, because the daughter recognized what was going on and did what she could at that time. It would be very appropriate now to highlight the whole thing about seizures and what to do in adults and children if you see them having a fit. During a seizure, lots of muscles in the body contract uncontrollably. It's also called a convulsion or fit. Seizures are caused by something interrupting the electrical activity in the brain, and they usually make someone lose responsiveness. Seizures can be a symptom of epilepsy. However, epilepsy is very rare in children. In children, seizures normally happen as a result of a high temperature or because of an infection such as a throat or ear infection. This is because the electrical systems in their brain are not developed enough to deal with the body's high temperature. This can be very worrying for parents to see their children having a seizure, but if dealt with properly, it's rarely dangerous. You could always take your child to the doctor afterwards so they can check them out to see what caused the seizure. Now, there's a video on this sja.org.uk. We'll make sure that's available to you through our website. So what to look for in seizures in children? If you think a child is having a seizure, there are 7 key things to look for. Vigorous shaking with clenched fists and an arched back. Signs of fever, hot flushed skin and sweating. Twitching of their face and squinting, fixed or upturned eyes. Holding their breath with a red, puffy face and neck and drooling at the mouth. Possible vomiting. Loss of control of their bowel or bladder. Partial or full loss of responsiveness. So what you need to do, if you possibly can, don't restrain or move them. Instead, protect them from hurting themselves. Clear away any potentially dangerous objects like hot drinks, sharp objects, and put pillows or padding around them. Cool them down, take away any bedding, and take off a layer of clothing. Make sure they get some fresh air by opening a door or a window. But be careful you don't cool them down too much. Once the seizure has stopped, they're usually very sleepy or unresponsiveness. So, put them in their recovery position to help to keep their airway open. Then call 999 or 112 for emergency medical help. Reassure them and whoever is looking after them if that is not you. While you wait for help arrive, keep checking their breathing, pulse and level of responsiveness, and you might also want to talk to them because hearing is the last thing that goes, and just for a patient, a casualty, particularly a child or an older person, anyone, knowing that someone is with them can indeed help them a lot. Now, I've added that extra little bit in because this is something I remember being taught as a first aider. So let's get on now and have a little look at seizures in adults. Now, in adults, seizures are the most common type of epilepsy. They can be caused by other things such as head injury, alcohol poisoning, or someone with diabetes having a hypo, which is when their blood glucose is too low. Epilepsy is a condition which affects the brain and causes repeated seizures, which are often sudden and dramatic. In adults, what to look out for. With any kind of seizure, it is really important to keep checking their level of response and their pulse, and that the person is breathing. It is also important to protect them from harming themselves during the fit. If you think someone is having a seizure, here are 6 key things to look for. A sudden loss of responsiveness, a rigid body with an arching back, noisy, difficult breathing, convulsions. These may be jerky, uncontrolled movements, a loss of bladder and bowel control. Afterwards, they may be confused, tired, and fall into a deep sleep. What you need to do: protect them from hurting themselves. Clear away any potentially dangerous objects like hot drinks, sharp objects, or even if you can, if there's a danger of electrical items as well, make sure that they are switched off. And then once you've done that, make a quick note of when the seizure started and how long it lasts. Protect their head by placing something soft underneath it, like a towel, and loosen any clothing around their neck. Once the seizure has stopped, they may fall into a deep sleep. If they do, open their airway and check their breathing. If they're breathing, put them in the recovery position. If they do stop breathing at any point, be prepared to treat someone who is unresponsive and not breathing. Keep checking their breathing, their pulse, and level of response. First aiders might know that as AVPU. Can they hear anything? Do they respond to pain in any way? Do they respond to voice? Are they alert? And the U stands for unconsciousness, unresponsiveness. To call 999 or 112 for medical help if it is the casualty's first seizure, or in fact, if the cause is unknown. If they're having repeated seizures, the seizure lasts more than 5 minutes, or they're unresponsive for more than 10 minutes. And just to make sure that you're with them, and again, just be with them, and you can make a huge difference just even by talking to them and letting them know who you are and what you're doing, and that help is indeed on the way. That will make a huge difference. Anyway, that's a quick overview of what to do should anyone have a seizure, be it a child or an older child or adult. So take note of that. We'll make sure that the links to these are available from the Gospel for Grampian website. There'll be a special links from one of our posts that we're getting to write. Now, a little bit later on today on Gospel for Grampian, we've got a program. We normally do a program called the Power Hour, and each week we have a theme for that. Sometimes if things get on top of me, we quite then won't have a Power Hour, and it will be last week's. But in this case, we're having a Power Hour, and this time it's for you to really respond. And that means get in touch with us. Do get in touch with us with regard to healing. If you have a need for healing of any type, get in touch with us, and we'll make an effort to pray about that. And the way to do that is to send an email. That's info, info, g4g.org.uk. In fact, best actually get in touch with the Facebook page. Get in touch with the Facebook page, because I'm aware that I'm still sorting out a phone. I had to go onto a different phone recently, and so we're going to try and get things sorted out for that. So go to the Facebook page and you'll find links to that, and we'll make good arrangements of what to do. So get in touch with us. It's going to be anonymous, so you don't have to write in your name. Just write where you are calling in or listening in from, then the condition, So you might say, hi, it's Jenny from Aberdeen, or Jenny even from Scotland. And you write in the condition, you might even say, it's my brother, or it's my friend, or it's my neighbour, and what the condition is, and we'll then pray for that. So we've got an hour, and we've got several scriptures to pray about. So that is that. Now, one of the other things that I'm also going to be mentioning on this particular show today is the Fisherman's Mission. The Fisherman's Mission in Aberdeen, we've mentioned them before, and we're going to mention them again, because fishing is actually said to be the most dangerous peacetime occupation in the UK. One of the things that we have is we've got a picture which I took a little bit earlier on today. It's a mural that has been put up by the Fisherman's Mission here in Aberdeen. Someone has designed a mural, and it looks very as if it's been prepared from various fabrics and things like that. And it's very effective. It's actually just up around the corner. You can see it along Victoria Road, just close to the junction of Victoria Road and Crombie Road, just at the end with just by a carpet shop. You can, I think it's even made from bits of carpet and other fabrics and things like that. But it really is quite effective, and I can see a lot of work has been put into that. But it's been done to highlight the Fisherman's Mission. It's been done to highlight the role of fishermen who give a lot, actually, to make sure that fish lands onto our plates, fish gets into the shops and the supermarkets. We barely give fishermen a thought much, but the Fisherman's Mission do, and they do a great job. And so we're looking forward to being able to work with the Fisherman's Mission. We've actually got, I'm going to be having an interview with one of the fishermen who's actually written a book, and we'll be catching up with him hopefully in Peterhead before too long. We've got one of Brian's contacts is a fisherman, and we'll catch up with him before too long and get the lowdown on that. One of the other things as well, folks, that we're going to be doing is going up to Fraserburgh the next few weeks, and hopefully indeed catch even more of the essence of the history of fishing, what that used to be like, and try and bring that up to date with what it's like now for fishermen. So we'll try and get all that available here on Gospel for Grampian. Right, let's go on now to some great music. The time just after 4:30. This program you can hear again by listening in on Saturday and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And both the show and Brian's Good News will be available to listen to from our podcast site. It's really exciting actually seeing how many people listen to different podcasts and what they listen to, and we would love to have some feedback on our podcasts. And if you're listening and would like to give feedback on podcasts, you can get in touch with us, info@g4g.org.uk. But don't forget, we've also got our Facebook page as well, and we just love you to get in touch with us by Facebook, and that way we can see immediately. So do let us know on all these things. Let's get on and have some more great music, and it's Run with the Royal Foundlings. Have a very great